Hey there, this is Morgan Fleur-de-Lis, the champion of freedom. Thank you for watching our ongoing video series on metaphors. Again, if you snuck into this video, get back to the beginning. Pick up the book from Ann Miller called Metaphorically. Selling. Fantastic book. It will revolutionize how you communicate with people online, offline, in any form of your marketing, even personal communications, all right? So let's move forward. Couple different chapters we're going to cover right now. And so let's get right into this bad boy. Let's think about recommendations that you're making to people. Sometimes you might be, in a particular, maybe health and wellness business or something of that nature, and you might have a variety of products in which you could recommend, or maybe it's a training materials, and there's a variety of different training courses that you could recommend to someone, right? And so frequently you have to make several different types of recommendations to people. Using metaphorical language can help you, just like all things in your business. The more metaphors, the better, if it makes sense and you can help someone understand what it is that you're doing. So here it is. Recommendations resonate more deeply when they incorporate a metaphor, all right? And that's the whole point. So on a piece of paper, write this down real quick. Number one, what recommendations to a client have you made recently? Client, prospect, teammate, whatever, right? Maybe you're looking to get that growth in your team, and using the right metaphor might get that growth going for you, right? Because then all of a sudden it makes sense, it resonates with them, right? Number two, what problem does it resolve? So number one was, what recommendation to a client have you made recently? And number two was, what problem does it resolve? And then finally, number three, what metaphor can you make, what metaphor can make that recommendation more vivid to your listener's mind? What metaphor can make that recommendation more vivid to your listener's mind, right? So that's really it. That's what we're looking at. What recommendations have you made to a client recently? What problem does it resolve? And what metaphor can make that recommendation more vivid in your listener's mind? Now, moving forward, we're going to talk about ways of communicating. A lot of times you might get into the accidental business of explaining something, right? And in our industry, sometimes we'll talk that we just kind of throw up on somebody, right? That verbal diarrhea, right? And I just want to quote this one paragraph here in this book, and it really summarizes a lot of things for this chapter, all right? And it says, with an apt comparison, you can familiarize the unknown, simplify the complex, reveal new twists in the straightforward, and refine hard-to-see differences. You can dig yourself out of a hole. You can mold perception before it sets against you. The well-chosen metaphor focuses understanding instead of allowing it to diffuse. The perfect analogy crystallizes meaning in a visual, intuitive, emotionally poignant way that pieces through resistance to lodge permanently in your listener's brain. Do you see all the metaphorical language he used just in that one paragraph right there? That's the nature of this wonderful book. That's why I recommend it so highly. So moving forward with that, I'm going to cover the tail end of this particular chapter here. And we're going to go over just a short little exercise. It's really quite simple. I'm just going to arrow forward, make sure we're on the right page. All right, let's go over the summary real quick. Summary is, when it comes to explanations, quality expression beats quantity of words, right? It seems like sometimes the more you start explaining, the more people are start putting their walls up and or you start losing them, they get confused, they get distracted, the little short attention span. All these different things can contribute to the fact of you slowing down your conversions. Comparison to the known and loved make the unknown familiar and desirable. Simple analogy can make the highly technical easy to grasp. This is important when you're dealing with technology. The obvious can be made memorable. Subtle distinctions can be made more clear. Metaphor can frame an explanation. Metaphors can change the listener's attitude from negative to positive. There's actually a great story in the book that highlights that. Metaphors can save explanations from sounding like excuses. The more urgent the need for diplomacy, the more critical it is to package your explanations in metaphor and analogy. That's a key takeaway right here from this chapter. Metaphors can save explanations from sounding like excuses. And you'd be amazed how often that happens, especially in the home-based industries. So here's your turn right here, okay? 3 columns, give me your piece of paper. What I explain, the next column, the nature of that explanation. Like, why are you explaining it, right? And then the third column is, what metaphor could you use to really shorten this bad boy up, summarize it, and bring home a point using vivid imagery, simplify things, and so that way they understand. It doesn't sound like you're just making up a story, right? All right, so my name is Morgan Fleur-de-Lis, the champion of freedom. I hope you're getting a lot out of this. I'm loving it. This is my second time going through just this one book right here, and I feel like I'm going to read it 6 or 7 more times because it's just packed with so much information. I can't recommend this book highly enough, all right? So stick with us. We got some more coming up. My name is Morgan Fleur-de-Lis, the champion of freedom. I'll see you on the next video. Take care.